Hey readers, welcome back to another episode of Not Reading for Content. We are here with a bookish discussion, and I am really excited about today's topic because it is one that I've been actually discussing and thinking about all week because it was a question that was posed to me by my boss. We both enjoy reading, and so sometimes we get talking about the books in our lives and just the bookish community and things like that. And I think this would be a perfect question for our podcast. So I'm bringing it to Leandra, and I'm hoping that we'll have some good discussion out of it. So the first question, because it is a two-parter, the first question is there a book that you would hate to see adapted? So one that you do not want to see an adaptation for. And then the second question is going the other way. Is there a book that you would like to see an adaptation for? So we're going to start with the negative. Leandra, is there a book that you would absolutely not want to see an adaptation for? And I should clarify, this doesn't have to be a book that you've hated. It could be a book that you've loved and you just don't want to see it ruined on screen. And we should also specify, I'm adding more to the question. We should specify if we are going to see it adapted, what type of adaptation would you like to see?
Ooh, okay. So I did go ahead and choose for both questions a book that I do love. So these are books that I've really enjoyed. One of them, I really don't think I want to see be adapted to screen, whether it be a film or a TV show. And that's because I don't trust them to do a good job. And that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So this is a cozy fantasy that has taken the world by storm. There's a prequel, there's a sequel that's coming out soon if it's not already out. Obviously, everyone really enjoys these books. They're very comforting, set at a cafe that is currently being built, being established in Legends and Lattes, and I love the book. It came to me at the right time. I actually read it during Battle of the Booktuber, thanks to Danny Dabbles. But I just don't see I don't have faith. I just don't have faith being done well, specifically regarding the CGI. There are a handful of characters that can be performed by people, and they'll just have prosthetics, a lot of makeup every single day in the chair, which would probably be really brutal for those actors. I'm thinking of like The Grinch, Stole Christmas. I recall that being a huge ordeal for that actor. Who's the actor who plays Grinch? What's his
Jim
name?
Carrey.
Jim Carrey. So I know that he said that he almost quit the first day because
Yes.
it was like 8 or 10 hours in the chair before he could even start acting. And so, I mean, I'm imagining that's what would have to happen here as well, although I'm sure people have gotten better in the industry. But like I said, there's smaller characters that are completely like non-human or non-human like. So they would just be CGI. The ratkin named Thimble specifically, who bakes the bread and is just so lovely, all I can imagine is a really like horrific looking like CGI character. And a lot of times I know that so much money is put into that technology. I think it kind of looks cheap. I don't think it looks very good. It obviously doesn't look that realistic, but maybe I'm a bit of a film snob and I don't really watch films very often. I don't trust that it would be done well. I'm imagining it could be a mini TV series, or I suppose if we're talking multiple books, it could just be a TV show in general where we possibly start with the prequel. But even with a movie, I mean, either way, I don't think we have the resources or the technology to make it well done. And maybe it is because it's cozy. Maybe cozy doesn't transfer very well either. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have any reactions to this, Danny?
I think that I agree that the CGI right now I would be a little hesitant just because of how many characters they would have to do CGI for. I do also want to add that I
Mm.
think it works better for more serious fantasy than it does for cozy because I feel like they have a different vibe. If you have like more gritty, like a gritty backdrop or whatever, I feel like the CGI characters, I don't know, would just kind of go better. I don't know how to describe that. With the cozy characters, I feel like it would just feel very out of place.
Yeah, and it could possibly be that in these like epic high fantasies that you're thinking of, there's just more action. And so the CGI has all of this movement rather than with a cozy fantasy, we're watching these little tiny gestures. And I think we just have more time to pick apart the CGI when it's just chilling on screen with us versus, when something's flying in the air and we only have so much time to kind of consume the content. Also, I just hate when actors have to kind of like look in a general vicinity, and that when they were acting, there was nothing there but maybe like a marker, and I just overthink it. But I don't think I would enjoy like trying to pinpoint and get over that.
Mine is quite the genre jump from yours. So we're going from a cozy fantasy to a horror. So my pick is The Dead Take the A Train, which is by Cassandra Caw and Richard Cadre. And this is a duology featuring a woman named Julie who is literally described in the synopsis as a coked up 31-year-old who's just trying to survive. And it's super gritty. It's set in New York City, and she's trying to get into the magical scene because in this world, you do have people who have no idea that there are supernatural creatures, and then you have people who are actually combating to try and keep the world a safer place. And Julie's kind of in the middle. She knows the magical creatures exist, but she's having a hard time actually getting paid for her efforts. And so she's willing to do more and more dangerous positions and jobs in order to get the recognition that she wants. And I don't want to see this on screen. First off, I really am not a horror movie person. I much prefer to read it on page. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because I know I can shut the book whenever I want to. I don't know if it's because maybe I just don't have that vivid of imagination, and so I can't actually picture what's happening on page. This does have a lot of body gore in it, and so I don't think it would be a pleasant experience for me to watch. But on top of that, I do think that this book just has a lot going on, and I feel like I don't think that this is enough for like a TV show, but I think it's too much for a movie. So I don't think either way you go, I don't think it would do well, because if it's in a movie, we're going to be missing important pieces. It's going to feel like whiplash because we have so many. So either stuff is going to get left out, or we're just going to be moving in too many different directions in order for us to focus. And if we do a TV series, even if they did a mini TV series, I don't know if there's enough. I know that there is supposed to be, this is a series, and so there is a second book coming. It's not yet published, and so maybe that would change my mind. I still don't know that I would want to see it. And you have read this. Would you want to see this as a movie or a TV series?
I have. This is actually a unique situation because both of us had read Legends and Lattes, and now we've also happened to have read The Dead Take the A Train. And I agree with you. I think that it is interesting to bring up the fact that it doesn't really work for the two main formats we're talking about, like TV show versus movie. And I'm also not a fan of watching horror. I used to. In college, I was a part of a big friend group, and that was a big thing we would do on the weekends. And now I look back thinking, what was I thinking? Because it's just so much more visceral. So I'm hesitant towards any type of really popular horror book becoming a movie, just because I just wouldn't be the audience for it. It can be made, but I'm not going to be watching it. And I do wonder if they would abuse the fact that there is a lot of body gore, body horror, and it would just become a bit of a splatter film of, excess. And that would detract from the fact that there is a plot line, that these characters are kind of moving towards something. And it is quite complicated when we consider the corporate part of things, obviously the history between the characters, the two love interests, and like one of their ex-boyfriends. There's just a lot to kind of handle throughout it. And there are some scenes that still stick with me. I have a pretty good imagination and I still imagine some of them right now. So yeah, I don't think I would really want to see that turned into a film or even a mini series either. So yeah, good choice.
Speaking of good choices, what's your choice for the one you would want to see?
Oh my gosh, this one, I'm prepared to beg. I am prepared to beg for it to be turned into specifically a TV series, and I think the BBC would be perfect for it. So I'm even throwing that out there. And this is The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. This is the first book in a series, which is the Juliet Tilney and Jonathan Darcy mystery series, reimaginings of Jane Austen characters, specifically her canon characters' descendants, their children, they work together solving crimes. And we get a lot of little cameos, representation from the canon in each book. Each book nods to a different setting within the Jane Austen canon. So with The Murder of Mr. Wickham, we are taken back to the estate that we see in Emma, the Knightley estate, and so on and so forth. And being a historical mystery, knowing that there's so many fans out there for Jane Austen, obviously there are so many examples of period piece TV shows that do really, really well. I mean, an example that I will have to admit is quite fun and flashy is Bridgerton. Obviously,
Yes.
that's a TV series that came from a book series that is historical, that is set in the Regency period. At least I'm pretty sure it's Regency. And so is The Murder of Mr. Wickham, so on and so forth. And I feel like people would eat it up, especially because this is historical, like mystery set in Regency. So you'd still get like the beautiful setting, but now we're trying to figure out who murdered these characters. And usually it's the villains, the people we don't like in Jane Austen. So I think it would work for various audiences. Those who love Jane Austen and just kind of want to see it be freshened up in a different light while still, holding their classics dear to their heart because it's not obstructing those. It's not a bad adaptation of, say, Sense and Sensibility, for instance, but also something fun for new viewers. And I would, of course, eat it up because I love Juliet and I love Jonathan so much. It would be great. I'm telling you, I promise this would be amazing. So if anyone's in the film industry, in the TV show industry, listening to this podcast, I know you're not, but I would invest. I would definitely put money down to help this happen.
It's funny that you chose a mystery for yours because I also chose a mystery for mine. But before we get into that, I would watch that. I'm not like a big Jane Austen fan. I don't hate Jane Austen by any means, but it's probably just not my type of book. I haven't read very many Jane Austens and I'm not drawn to them. But I think that sounds really fun. And the fact that it's not just taking the original story and changing a few things about it. We're talking about generations and murder mysteries. I just think that's very fun. And I do think BBC is the correct way to go. I could totally see that.
Seriously, because they've also been trusted to do adaptations of Jane Austen in the past. So that's why I'm also mentioning them versus Netflix or anything. Though they would ruin
Right.
it. Netflix, don't touch this. Please leave the series alone. And I think I would say that maybe each season would be a murder, would be a book. And you're
Mm,
you're following with a handful of episodes and getting ever closer to the discovery of what happens, kind of in the same vein of Only Murders in the Building, or even, I know that, I mean, this went off the rails, but like Riverdale, I'm pretty sure the
okay.
first season of that was a murder mystery setup, and then they just kind of went crazy. But yeah, so I feel like one murder investigation per season, there's potential there.
Absolutely. Well, my mystery is a fantasy mystery, and it's Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison. I freaking love this series. The series is Cemeteries of Amalur, but the first book is The Witness for the Dead. And in this, we are following a side character from The Goblin Emperor. But you do not have to read The Goblin Emperor prior to reading this little novella series. There are 3 books in the Cemeteries of Amalur, and they all follow Thara Kelleher, who is an elf witness for the dead, which means he can speak to the dead. He Because of that, he also gets himself kind of embroiled in murder mysteries. In this first book, we do have a murder of an opera singer, and he has to figure out what happens or what happened. And there are also one of the things I really love about this that I think would make it perfect for the screen is there are little tiny mysteries that he solves throughout this bigger through line mystery that are really important to his character. I think that if we indulged a little bit, that this could be made into a TV series and kind of do what you were saying, where each book is its own like little mini series. I just think it like each season, I guess I should say, would have like its little mini series. I don't think it's enough. These are very small books to do like a large season, but I think you could probably do 5 episodes per book and it would just allow you to really soak in Thara Kelleher's character and him getting to know this community that he is in because these books are just lovely. I think that it would be a lot of fun. And you have something to say about this book.
Oh, do I? Yes. So, with The Witness for the Dead, I actually have that on my currently reading. I am nearly halfway. So, I'm not over the halfway mark of this book, but I am eating it up. I'm really, really enjoying it. So, that is probably where I'm going to be leaving you guys with my currently reading TBR, Witness for the Dead. Really enjoying this fantasy mystery. Really excited to continue getting to know Thara Kelleher, really getting to know how to pronounce all of these different names, because that is a work in progress. But I am predicting that it's going to be a series that I hold dear to my heart, just crossing my fingers. And Danny, you know that you're going to be hearing a lot from me as I jump into book 2 and book 3 eventually. But yeah, this is feeling like a winner, and I'm predicting 5 stars potentially. What is on your currently reading, Danny?
I'm looking forward to the conversations that we're going to have about this series because I think it's going to be great. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying it so far.
Me too.
My currently reading is another mystery fantasy or fantasy mystery, which is very funny. I did not plan this, I swear. I'm reading The Angel of the Crows, which is a Sherlock Holmes and Watson retelling set in a world where angels and demons are plaguing the city of London while Jack the Ripper is on the loose, and they're trying to solve the mystery of Jack the Ripper.
And it's by the
So
same author, isn't
it
it,
is.
Catherine?
I
Oh my,
always
we
forget
promise
that.
that wasn't intentional.
I always forget that because they are so vastly different. I just freaking love Catherine Addison because I do think that she's very versatile in her writing, and reading these two series definitely shows, or I guess I should say reading these two books, because I don't think The Angel of the Crows is a series, but yeah, fantasy mystery and the same author. How wild. That's amazing.
Truly, you know what? We couldn't have done it better ourselves. This was definitely meant to be. And that's a book on my TBR as well. So maybe eventually you guys will hear me come back and say, hey, finally reading this. And then Danny will be on a different book by Catherine Addison. Why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's on my list. Those are the books that we were going to leave you guys with this week, and we will be back next week for another bookish discussion. Who knows what we'll be discussing? You have to tune in to see. We will see you guys then. Happy reading.